This morning we published a report titled More Than a Human Can Bear, dealing with Israel's systematic use of sexual, reproductive and other forms of gender-based violence since 7 October 2023. Our report finds that Israel has increasingly employed sexual, reproductive and other forms of gender-based violence against Palestinians as part of a broader effort to undermine their right to self-determination. It also concludes that Israel has carried out genocidal acts through the systematic destruction of sexual and reproductive healthcare facilities. The report documents a broad range of violations perpetrated against Palestinian women, men, girls and boys across the occupied Palestinian territory since 7 October 2023 that constitutes a major element in the ill treatment of Palestinians and are part of the unlawful occupation and persecution of Palestinians as a group. The frequency, prevalence and severity of sexual and gender-based crimes perpetrated across the occupied Palestinian territory leads the Commission to conclude that sexual and gender-based violence is increasingly used as a method of war by Israel to destabilise, dominate, oppress and destroy the Palestinian people. The Commission documented a pattern of sexual violence, including cases of rape and other forms of sexual violence, torture and other inhumane acts that amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity.
In the past, the leak of very few images from Abu Ghraib, for example, in Iraq, was enough to make a scandal. Today, we have seen hundreds, maybe thousands of images and videos from the prisons and prisoners very badly treated, as you explained in your report, but no changes, and we feel that as if the world is not treating this as a scandal anymore. As a lawyer, you said that you are a lawyer. How do you describe this?
I describe it, Nina, as willful ignorance, even willful denial on the part of the international system. We deal at some length in the report at the stripping and the physical and psychological abuse of men and boys. The report deals very much with sexual violence against women, but in this situation, it's also sexual violence against men and boys. And we heard evidence, you would have heard it if you were looking at our hearings during the last 2 days, where men and boys were forced to strip wholly or almost wholly, that is down to underpants, and then were kept in that condition, often having to sit on stones on the ground in the cold in winter for up to 3 days. Now, this is physical abuse, but it's also psychological abuse. It's designed to humiliate. So we have no doubt at all, on the basis of the evidence that we received, what is going on. But to get these events the international attention and international action that they deserve has proved a task that we find frustrating, but that the Palestinian victims must find increasing their humiliation, increasing the demeaning conduct that they are being exposed to. There is an urgent need for accountability. Not just accountability because perpetrators of past crimes should be punished, that's called justice, but also accountability as a means of prevention. These things continue to occur because no one is ever held accountable. They're not held accountable in Israeli military courts, they are not held accountable in Israeli civil courts, and when we see the first tentative efforts at international accountability, we see the kind of hysterical, illegal reactions from some parts of the international system. So this will continue unless and until there is accountability. And the victims can only feel frustrated at our failure. It is our failure as an international system.
Do you consider that giving birth today to a child in Gaza amounts to giving a death certificate at the same time?
In many cases it does, but not all. But I would certainly say that any child born in Gaza today has a risk of dying while an infant or as a young child greater than almost any others in the world. We know that over the last 18 months, 33% of those who have been killed are children. That statistic alone should cause us to sit up in shock and then do something about it. Children today not only experience, or babies not only experience, the kind of deprivation that we describe in the report. The breastfeeding mothers, because of malnutrition, ill health, high rates of infection, have difficulty providing best breast milk. The fact that formula is almost impossible to obtain, and when it is obtained, it must be mixed with water that is generally unsafe and exposes the baby to a very high risk of infection. So you have malnutrition, you have cold, you have babies, newborn babies, often in need of neonatal care, living in tents. And you have, up until 47, 48 days ago, the constant risk of being killed by bombardment. The fact that I think the figure was around about 50,000, 40 to 50,000 babies were born in Gaza last year, is an extraordinary statement of hope on the part of Gaza parents. Hope that their children will live and hope that they will have a future. But anyone who looks at the statistics, we who know from talking to people what is going on, can see that as an act of hope in the middle of a battleground of despair.